6 things that turn women on about men. Hi, Sharp Game coming at you with another episode from ChooseYourRelationships.com, author of Love Can't Wait, which can be found on Amazon.com. So let's talk about it. Someone brought this to my attention a couple days ago. He wanted some tips on little subtle things that turn women on about men, and you might not even be aware of this. And because I know a lot of guys, including myself, we do things without having to think about it. So it's kind of like unconscious. Where it's not something that we we plan out doing. It's not strategic. We just go about our day doing our thing, and this happens automatically. Don't have to think about it. This is something that I, if I really think about it, I do a lot of this stuff with no thoughts at all. I'm on an autopilot, and see, that's the place you want to get to. You want to have habits, principles. You want to pre-program yourself basically to do things without having to think about it. That's what I call magnetic attraction, where it's like you're on autopilot. You don't have to think about anything. I remember one time, if you watch football, what's my man name? It's a football player years ago that came out and admit to this, that he said when he's on the football field running the ball, he's not thinking about anything. He's just in flow. He's just in the groove. He said the minute that you have to think, that's when you're going to get hurt. And that's when it's the end of your game. That's when because he said if you have to think long, you think wrong. He said the time that you should think is doing practice. Marshawn Lynch, that's who it is. Marshawn Lynch said that the time you should think is in practice. So he said that's why in practice you run the same plays over and over again, repetition over and over again. He said when it's game time, there's no time to think. It's time to execute. So that's exactly what you want to do with this. So the first thing I would say that a lot of women like, they like a guy with backbone. They like a guy that doesn't agree with everything she says. A guy that's on purpose. A guy that knows where he's going. Even if he don't know where he's going, at least he has a plan. At least he knows who he is. Women don't like guys that just kind of go along and get along, or go out of his way to please her and satisfy her. That's not really attractive to a lot of women, unless she's a control freak. And even the woman that's a control freak, she's not going to really be into you like that. She just wants everything. She wants to control her environment. Any woman that's into you, she might try to control you, but deep down she know it ain't gonna work. So, if she knows eventually she's gonna have to stay around you and let loose that control, or she gonna have to move on. She know what time it is, and that's something that she's gonna have to make a decision. So women like guys with backbone. Next thing I would say is women like guys that know how to talk that talk, baby. That that got that mouthpiece on deck. Well, women like guys that say stuff to turn them on. Say stuff to get their panties wet. Say stuff that get them in the mood, seduce them, motivate them. And you can't necessarily motivate anybody, but you can say things to them that trigger something within them so they can get themselves motivated. Women like guys that's like that. They like guys that say things that they probably never heard before, or that most guys just don't say. Because see, most guys out here saying the same old thing. Same old jive. You know, what's your name? You come here a lot? You got a boyfriend? You know, the same old jive. Same old thing that she heard last week. She's heard the same old line hundreds of times. So you got to sharpen your mouthpiece. The next thing I would say is you can do jokes or pranks from time to time. You don't gotta be the jokester. You don't gotta be a comedian. I'm not saying that. But you can kind of like do little tricks every once in a while. Don't make things so obvious. You know, it's kind of like you can do stuff at home, or if y'all live together. You can do things at home and make it seem like something's wrong, but in reality there's nothing wrong because you was behind the whole thing the whole time. So, you know, do stuff that kind of throw her off, but in fun. You know, scare her every once in a while. You know, like stuff like that. Jokes, pranks, tricks. They say tricks are for kids, but no, that's not necessarily true. Yeah. So the next thing I would say is don't take everything so serious. Don't take everything so serious. I mean, life is already complicated, and it gets a little crazy every once in a while. And depending on where you live at, it might be a bunch of chaos. It might be a bunch of traffic, large crowds of people. Maybe you live in the big city. So things is already stressful. Even if you don't realize it, things is already stressful if you live in a big city. If you live in a small town, of course, that's a little bit different. But it's hard living in these big cities for most people, and working these jobs, and you're driving through the traffic. It takes you an hour to get to work, going and coming back, 6 days a week, or however long you work there. You know, on a weekly basis. So don't take everything so serious. Loosen up. Laugh. Smile. You know, just because things aren't going the way you would like, you don't gotta walk around with a frown on your face. That ain't gonna help anyway. That's just gonna make it worse. You know, try to find the best out of the worst situation. And I know that's hard. You know, because I've had certain situations where I got involved in, and I just didn't like it. Because it wasn't what I thought it would be. So I had two choices. I just become more miserable, or I make the best of the situation. So I chose to make the best of the situation. You know, so, you know, just try to, I believe you can take something good out of almost any situation, or even somebody. You know, so don't take everything so serious. And the next thing I'm gonna say is you gotta support your woman. Now, there's a balance to this, because see, a lot of times, a lot of women will look for the guy to support her, and then she'll forget to support him when it's his turn. So there's a balancing act that comes into play here. You know, and see the problem with a lot of people is when they get into relationships because they have holes. They're looking for something. They want the other person to make their life easy without putting in any effort or very little effort. And see, that's where the problem comes in at. Because in a fantasy world, you know, that's like, see, that television got a lot of women all mixed up and confused. In a fantasy world, you know, the guy saves her in the movies. You know how the movies go. I'm not going to even go into all the details. And the guy's like the savior. He you know, he gets to know her, uh, move the woman in with her, and then they have kids and get married and live happily ever after in a house with a picket fence. That happens in movies, but in real life, relationships take work. It doesn't have to feel like work though. And I've realized over the past 20 years, most people are horrible at relationships. They're horrible at communication. They're horrible at keeping in contact with people. They're just horrible. The whole process, from top to bottom, most people are horrible. And I'm talking across the board, just relationships in general. I'm not even talking about relationship between the sexes. I'm talking just in general. Most people are horrible. Most people don't really know the purpose of friendship, don't see the value in friendship. Most people are horrible at it. So this is why I said years ago, if I just could get the relationship thing taken care of, if I could get 50% better, that would boost me ahead of 80-90% of the people in America worldwide, because I realized how horrible people were. I realized how selfish and greedy and manipulative and how self-centered most people were. Like 25 years ago, I realized this. People don't have if you walk up to most people and ask them the purpose of a relationship, any relationship, or purpose of friendship, they'll have 10, 20 different definitions. And none of them work in reality. None of it works. out of 10 people, they're gonna have every definition gonna be different. They see friendship different. Some of them don't see a friendship to some people is we hang out. I'll see you the next time. Next time might be next year, 6 months from now, something like that. You know, but I digress. And the last thing I would say is you gotta talk to your woman. I'm talking like get deep. Get into deep, intimate conversations. I'm not talking about just, hey, how was your day at work? Deeper than that. I'm talking like, hey, why do you feel the way you feel about that situation that happened at work? How do you feel when we're in bed together? I'm talking stuff like that. I mean, she might say, well, I really enjoyed myself when we went on a vacation. And you say, well, why'd you feel that way? What made you want to talk about it now? You know, stuff like that. I mean, you got to really get deep and see where her mindset the words she speak, where does it stem from? Where does it come from? Where does she come from? How was she really raised? Who was she really raised by? What kind of parents did she have? What kind of family does she have? I mean, you gotta really dig deep. Like this world that we live in is a site. It's a mind game. So you have to really dig deep. Ask her how her childhood was. Did anything happen to her in her childhood that alters the way she think and look at men and women and kids? Because something has happened to everybody. Some people just don't want to talk about it. Because some people have pretty much just never dealt with it. They kind of threw it to the side and stepped on it and just kept it moving. They just act like it doesn't never happen or doesn't exist. But it still affects them to this day. So that's where you want to go. You want to find out what makes her really tick. That's what you want to get, because that has a lot. Most people's past has a lot to do with who they are today, and how they act, how they talk, how they speak, how they carry themselves, how they think about themselves. It has a lot to do with their perception, their beliefs, their reality. And see, our beliefs and our perceptions shape our reality. And this has a lot to do with self-image, because you only will do how you see yourself when you look in the mirror, how you think about yourself. This is why a lot of people that I know, I'll give them all the information, tell them what to do, where to go, how to do it. They still won't do anything because they don't believe they can do it. They don't believe that it's going to work for them because they have a low self-image of themselves. Because that's where you want to get deep. So these are just a couple things that turns women on about men. Of course, I can go on and on, but this video is getting a little bit longer, So, hey, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and that way, when I do a new video, or when I go live, you get the alert, and you get to ask me any question that you want live. So until next time, I'm out. Peace.